All right, this is live. I just need to know if the sound is working, if the video is working, if everybody can see and hear me. Um, Without having that information just yet, I'm just going to go like we're being seen by everybody. So, welcome everyone to the first ever Sanity Killer Projects live stream. Channel is also called SKPcars. We ended up having to change the name a handful of years ago because YouTube doesn't like the word killer. The algorithm uh, is rejecting certain terms, and the word killer it doesn't like. So because of that, if you would search the word Sanity Killer Projects, what you would end up getting is Sanity IO Programming Projects. It was really strange. So we changed the name to SKP Cars to make it more YouTube friendly, but I always start all of our videos with Sanity Killer Projects because that's the name of the channel. So the reason why we're doing this live stream is pretty simple. We're checking out our equipment to see what is going to work best for. We're going to do a big project, a big live where we end up destroying the Chevy Spark that we've done a lot of projects on. We're going to do it live with you guys, but because I've never live streamed before, because I'm not used to being in front of audiences even, the live streaming process has to get tried out. The equipment has to get tried to be sure that this laptop is going to work, or if I'm going to try using my handy dandy phone because it's got a really good camera built into it. Also, so with this live stream, we're just doing it on the laptop and trying out this equipment. The next live stream, which should be around the end of November, we'll try it out with the phone camera, and then the official when we destroy the Chevy Spark should be sometime around late December, probably around Christmas time. That's the easiest time for us to do a big project like that. You can actually almost see the spark sitting out there. It's actually that little shadowy spot in the light out in the yard there. So for this format, I'm just going to talk about what the channel is, where it came from, talk a little bit about me, and then if you guys have any questions, I'll take questions. I'm aiming to be on for about an hour or so. I'm not used to talking for that long of a period of time, but we'll do my best. And as I mentioned in the setup for this chat, there's no one here helping me. So it's just me and this computer and whoever's watching. The reason why Sanity Killer Projects exists is because I realized that there was a need for mechanical repair videos of a certain type. You could call it Scotty Kilmer type videos, but when it comes down to it, Scotty Kilmer stopped really working on stuff a while ago. And most of his stuff is more of this live streaming, quick hit little shorts that are clickbaity. His content was good for that kind of stuff a handful of years ago, but he's since given up on it. I would consider what I'm trying to do something more like what was Chris Fix mixed with what is Scotty Kilmer. And really, when it comes down to it, I would like to make a channel that is all things cars. I mean, if I could make it towards something as big and at one time popular as something like Donut Media, that'd be all. Exist doesn't mean because growing up to not have mechanical ability. So with my kid not having a whole lot of mechanical ability, I thought that maybe he would need. Okay. So that's the reason why the channel on it to grow into powerful YouTube channel altogether that everybody could be interested in and be interested in watching and seeing. Obviously, right now, my camera abilities aren't the greatest. My editing abilities aren't the greatest. And I'm well aware of that. But when it comes down to it, the channel doesn't pay for anything. The channel doesn't make anything. Everything happens with the channel. I pay for it in my pocket. Cars. when it comes down to it, like if I do anything cool or fancy on any of our car projects, it's because I paid for it and because I'm stripping it down to powder coating. That I'm going to pay for that powder coater to do the powder coating work. And all of that then eventually becomes a video, but in the process ends up costing, thousands of dollars because cars aren't cheap. So the channel itself is growing. I'm very happy with the progress. I'd love to see the subscribers coming in a little bit more than it currently is. But I only put out a certain amount of videos per year. My goal for this year was to get 100 videos out, short format and long format, or shorts and regular videos. But when it comes down to it, I have a full-time job, family, ranch. It's not really easy for me to do that sort of thing and just dedicate the time that's needed to be able to put out 100 videos in a year. So at one point, a month or so ago, we just took a break because it's a lot. I work a lot. I work a regular 8-hour everyday job, and then I have a ranch and a family, and obviously all these car projects that make up this channel. Okay, so that gives you the reason why the channel exists. Let's talk about my abilities a little bit and why I am who I am and why I'm mechanically inclined and why I do mechanical work. When I was about 13 years old, I decided to start learning mechanical work, which is why if you ever see any of my comments and I talk about anything, I have about 30 years of experience as a mechanic. I'm in my 40s, obviously. But when it comes down to it, when I was a kid, my mom used to car to auto parts stores auto parts shops, and I would watch people take advantage of her. My mom didn't know anything about cars. My mom was a single mom raising 2 boys. And because of that, there was no way for her to easily get her car worked on without somebody lying to her and trying to cheat her out of the cost of a repair on her car. So I realized that the one way I could easily contribute to the household was to be able to work on cars. That way, when mechanics would say, you need to change this, this, and this, and this, when we brought it in to have the brakes changed, we would be able to go, no, that's not quite true, because my son, me, ended up looking at it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Doesn't need it. It's a fine working part. So I ended up taking some auto shop classes when I was young. I had some friends that their dads were mechanics. I had lots of car stuff around me. Started working on cars really early. Auto shop classes, I rebuilt engines. I did brake jobs, all sorts of mechanical oriented jobs. Then over the course of my life, I've worked on, built cars from the ground up, projects, just about everything that you can think of car wise. I've done some form of it in one way or another. This doesn't in any way, shape, or form, in my mind, make me an expert. There's lots and lots of information to learn on cars. I'm well-rounded in cars. I can do just about everything on cars. I'm not a transmission expert. I'm not an engine expert. I just work on stuff, and I'm good at working on stuff, and the ability to work on stuff is easy for me to do. And it's something I've been doing for so long. I'm just used to doing it. So auto shops were taking advantage of my mom. I started getting some knowledge together so that I could function as a mechanic. My mom, being untrusting of a young child being able to work on stuff, wouldn't let me touch anything. Because of that, I didn't end up doing much working on the cars in the household. But over time, eventually my mom realized I did have mechanical ability when I had a 66 Mustang in her garage and I was working on it. And she went, oh, wow, you actually do know how to do stuff. And then after that, it became very simple for her to just say, here, work on this car, change the brakes, do the oil change. And then I did all that sort of stuff on our cars when she wanted me to, because there were times when she just didn't want me to touch a car. That's fine too. Okay, so in my mechanical abilities, I've worked on just about every kind of car at some point or another. Obviously not, like exotic cars, because I'm not from a wealthy background, and those kind of cars don't come in and out of my garages. But Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Toyota, Chrysler, I've worked on just about every type of regular car. I've done almost every kind of job. There are some newer cars that have some things on them that I've never messed with. I personally don't like electric cars. I don't see the value in them. I think that it's great that Elon Musk is making a ton of money selling electric cars. When it comes down to it, they're just not for me. If it's got an engine, that's more my speed and style, and much more what I'd rather work on and look at and make even louder and faster if possible. A lot of the projects that you see on the channel, they don't have a lot of that sort of niche to it. They're mostly just like well changes and spark plugs. I do a lot of that stuff because it's what people are trying to learn as they're coming up, and what a lot of people are interested in seeing. Content wise, we end up getting a lot of views for that sort of stuff. At one point on the channel, we went to the auto show in 2022, I think it was. At one point, I was writing for a local newspaper, and I used my journalist credentials to get me into the 2022, I think it was, LA Auto Show. And that made it to where it didn't cost me anything to go to the event. Plus, I had the ability to interact with some of the people that were doing stuff for magazines and newspapers and stuff. I remember seeing the Fast Lane guys were there, and I had no idea who they were, because even though I was a YouTuber, I wasn't well versed in who any of these people were, because I don't watch a lot of YouTube channels unless I'm looking for something to figure out what it is I'm doing right or what it is I'm doing wrong. As times progressed, I do watch a little bit more YouTube than I did when the channel first started. But it's not necessarily a thing I do is sit on YouTube all day long and watch videos. But I do watch certain channels. The channels I usually watch are more for entertainment than for knowledge, especially when it comes to cars, because when it comes to cars, I've been doing this stuff for a very long time. As I mentioned, the 53 is back in the garage. That is the car sitting behind me. There will be a video coming up on that soon. I'm not exactly sure how soon. We've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment, but the car right here, or the frame, needs to get stripped down, taken completely back apart, cataloged and marked, and then sent out to a powder coater. Powder coater will do whatever powder coating needs to get all the frame completely coated, so that I don't have to worry about it anymore, which is why I ended up doing that. Then once it comes back and gets put back together, the trailer is actually sitting right outside. It's going to go right back on the trailer, and it's going to go back into storage, because I've still got all the what we call the flipper scrap cars. Those are the cars that the short format videos where we cleaned out a property and got 5 cars, 2 went away, 3 we had on the property, 1 of which sold, 2 70 GMC Suburban 3-door, and the 1970 Ford F-250 Camper Special. Those 2 vehicles we will be doing videos on. How soon we get to those, I'm not sure, but my goal is to get to those and get them out. I've still got the 2006 Jeep Commander. We ended up having a electrical problem with it shortly after we got it all running, and we're trying to do the required smog oriented tests. You have to, when a car has gotten the battery taken off of it for a long period of time and it needs to go through a smog, there's all these different checks that have to happen, especially these Chryslers. You have to drive them for a certain amount mile per hour over a certain speed for a certain amount of time. You have to do a certain amount of certain stops. We were in the process of doing that, and the ECM shorted out. So the ECM is on its way here. As soon as we get that, the ECM will get switched out. The car will get clean again, because now I'm sitting for a month or 2 doing nothing, and then we'll get it smogged, get it licensed, titled, whatever, and then, or it is titled, registered, and then that car will get put up for sale, and it'll go out. So if you've seen any of the videos that we have on the Jeep Commander, that's that car. I'm not sure if that's going to end up being a video, because I kind of said we were done filming stuff on that car, but if you're interested in seeing a video on an ECM getting changed out, let me know. We'll make a video on that as well. Still have the Jeep XJ. You could kind of see in the background right here, there's some metal That's actually a roll cage. It's supposed to go inside the XJ. At one point, we had planned on taking the XJ and jumping it on my property. We thought that would be really cool. We still think it'd be really cool. Problem is, there's a lot more. After I spent the money on the roll cage, there was a lot more thought that went into it, and we realized we're probably going to need more than just a roll cage. Maybe 5-point, maybe helmet. A lot of that stuff we didn't consider at the time. A real simple one that I realized right after I ordered the roll cage was we need a slip yoke eliminator and a drive shaft change out. All these things, even though the roll cage wasn't super expensive, I think it was about $1,500 for the kit. We need about $2,000 more stuff to get that up and ready to run. The Jeep itself still drives, though. I love that car. I don't get to drive it enough. The gear ratio currently is wrong in it. The gear ratio is the stock setup, which I think is a 370 gear. And because of that, when we drive it, our place of work is about 50 miles from where we live. So when we drive it to work, it'll go to work just fine because it's mostly downhill. And then when we come back up the hill, it's third and fourth gear because the ratios are wrong. That needs to come back in the garage and get the gear set changed out in it. But I want a locker in the rear and a limited slip in the front, and all that costs about another $2,000. Plus I still have to install it. Plus it'd really be a good idea to change out the axles at that point if we're going to end up spending the money to do the gear sets. Axles, especially stock ones, usually end up breaking when you end up putting a bunch of different parts on them. So something harder and stronger would be smart to put on as well. So that roll cage is going to go in. That'll be a video coming up soon. There's a bunch of shorts. I make shorts all the time. I just get ideas for stuff and start fiddling with stuff. Last one, amazingly, has gotten about 4,000 views in a week. It's literally me taking glasses and that was inside of it. I don't know why that one so many more views. We had videos similar talking about oil viscosity and what's in brake cleaner, and they might have got 1,000 views total, but that video is a weekend and it's got 4,000. It just shows you that when it comes down to it, like, I think I have an idea what people might want to see, and generally I have no idea. I make videos, I do them for fun, keep myself interested. Hopefully it ends up making something that other people are interested in. If they're interested in it, great. I'd like the channel to grow, so I'll keep throwing balls at the wall until something hits, and hopefully the channel grows into something as big as I'd like it to be. Millions of subscribers would be where I'd like to be, but really when it comes down to it, I think the biggest goal for me is probably one of those 100,000 silver plaques. I'll be pretty happy once we get to 100,000 subscribers. We're approaching 1 million views, which for a channel that's been growing at the rate that it has been, it's right about in line with where it should be. We got the channel monetized right at about 3 years. I think we were 2 or 3 months short of being at 3 years, and we got monetized. And then since we've got monetized, we've more than doubled our subscriber count. We're almost triple what's needed to get monetized now. We pull in anywhere between 30 and 50,000 views every month. We pull in 100 to 150 subscribers every month. This all sounds amazing, doesn't it? When it comes down to it, that doesn't pay anything. What pays is millions and millions of views every month, and it takes a lot to get to that point. There are a lot of very hardworking YouTubers out there who grind out short format or grind out long format videos all the time, and when it comes down to it, they're might be making 30 grand a year, which sounds great, but in today's America, $30,000 a year doesn't pay for anything. The median income is $60,000 or something like that now. I'll be really happy when the channel gets to the point where it pays me something similar to what I make, Now, my regular job actually pays pretty good, which is why I haven't made any effort to get rid of it while also doing this. I don't know if you've noticed, but we lived on a ranch property, a couple acres, 2.5 acres actually. We have uh, 18 chickens, 4 goats. He's usually by me, but I had to put him in the other yard because he would cause the dogs in the neighboring property to start barking, and you would actually hear it pretty strong over the volume of what I'm doing here. So he's not locked away, but he's running around in another yard. So with that, I'm sure there's plenty of things to talk about. If you want to talk about any of the other cars that we have, you have questions of your own. I see BV's here, and the other guy says R. Zach Kennedy. R. Zach Kennedy. You are Zach Kennedy. Zach Kennedy is actually a real world friend of mine. So he's just going to talk the entire time. He's actually been in some videos. You wouldn't have known it though. The CRV video that we did, the trailer wiring harness, his arm shows up in it. That's back when we were not showing any faces in any videos. Right now, I'm currently the only person who's been face-wise in any videos. My wife, I think, was running through the background of a short in one of them. Apparently, he's the elusive Bigfoot. So the elusive Bigfoot is chatting on our live stream right now. That car, the CRV, we did the trailer wiring harness. That was Zach's car. That video, I did not think was going to do anything, and Zach really just was trying to get me to help him do the trailer wiring harness and made it sound like it'll be great content. And I was like, that's not going to do anything. And I think it has at least a few thousand views now. It actually did fairly well. It wasn't a bad video. There are lots of projects that don't get put up to. Bill and I completely rebuilt his cargo trailer to move the 53 here. Originally, the property, we didn't do any videos on that. This channel actually originally started as kind of like a all good things guy stuff. So I originally started with construction. The construction stuff I dropped pretty quickly. I was in the process of remodeling our guest house when I started the channel. And I started doing a lot of videos with that, painting and staining and base molding and a lot of that kind of stuff. And we ended up getting rid of those videos because construction people are everywhere. There are lots and lots of people who do construction. There are lots and lots of ways to do construction. There's nothing wrong with that. I did construction for a bunch of years, and I like doing construction as well. But when it comes down to it, people who are in the construction trades, they know everything. I would put up a video staining something, and I would get comments all day long about how I was staining it wrong color, wrong tint, wrong process, wrong brush, wrong. And I was like, I don't get it. I'm just putting up showing how to do something. And when it came down to it, it was because they had experience and they knew and they wanted to voice it. And that's great. You can voice your opinion about everything and anything. That's what the internet's all about. People can sit here and chat and talk about anything and everything. So they voiced their opinions. I got annoyed. I think what finally broke my back with the construction related videos was electrical. I did a few electrical videos on stuff that I did in the guest house, like changing out outlets and covers and stuff. And I got comments about how I taped it wrong, I wired it wrong, I connected it wrong, and I just decided that was enough. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. So I ended up taking all the construction oriented videos down and just going, look, cars, I like cars, don't get as much bad comments for car stuff. So we're a car channel. So I made this a car channel, and it's been fairly successful the last 4.5 years. I'd love for the channel to get to some massive subscription numbers by year 5, but in May it's year 5, so I've got about 6 months. I'm sure we'll be above 3,000 subscribers by then. I was hoping to be at 5. I was dreaming to be at 10. 10,000 subscribers is a lot to ask in 6 months unless somebody gets excited about our content. As you can see by the amount of people that are watching, with it being Zach and BV, there's not a whole lot of people here. So the channel is something that's interesting. I like doing it. It's a good little creative break for me. I also write. I wrote for a bunch of years. I've written a few books, none of which were published. I was shopping around a novel, fiction novel, loosely based on stories that my father had told me about his life, because my father was worked with some mafioso people once upon a time. So because of that, I wrote a story loosely based on the stories that he told me about his life. And when it came down to it, he had passed away, or actually hadn't passed away at that point. I'd written the whole novel about it, and then I started shopping it around to different people that might be interested in getting it published, because you don't go straight through the publisher to get things published. So I'd shopped it around a bunch of them. A few people were interested or showing interest in it, and then COVID hit. When that happened, I couldn't get anything looked at. Nobody was interested in anything, so put it to the side. And then I don't know, a couple years ago, my dad passed away, and it's just sitting on a shelf. So that book I may end up doing something with, but I don't really have time at the moment. So especially with the YouTube channel takes a lot of my time, a lot of my free time. I do end up doing a lot of other things, though. As I mentioned, we have a 9-acre ranch. A lot of it's just upkeep of that. My wife and I are the only caretakers of the property. We don't have any ranch hands or anything like that. The ranch isn't big enough to have that kind of setup. And for as good of money as we make, we also live in California. And being in California, there's absolutely no way to be able to afford having ranch hands working on your ranch unless you're actually making money doing it. Does putting sugar in your gas tank make it go faster? No, putting sugar in your gas tank absolutely does not make your car go faster. Putting sugar in your gas tank makes your car get broken. In the video, in the short format video where we did the sugar in the gas tank, or burn sugar to show the effects of it, what ends up happening with sugar in your gas tank is it Superfan. My wife calls you Superfan. It's a good name for you. Welcome. Good to see you. So sugar in a gas tank does end up messing up your engine pretty bad. That short format video doesn't really do justice for what happens. Sugar actually causes more carbon to be put inside of the engine, and the carbon buildup inside of it will actually clog your injectors. It'll block ports. It'll seal everything up, clog everything, gunk everything, and the engine will shut down. The engine shutting down seems like it's pretty simple, but when it comes to it, you could end up blowing out seals. You could end up wrecking the engine altogether. You can hear the dogs next door barking. The sugar in the gas tank video, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to do very much, but it's actually been taking off for some reason. So I actually still have both glasses. I showed one of them a minute ago. This is the one that had sugar in it, and this is the one that didn't. I showed one of them a minute ago. This is the one that had sugar in it, and this is the one that didn't. And you can actually see like where my finger rubbed the carbon off and hold the glasses. So I have lots of ideas for little videos like that, but the other ones I've done very similar didn't catch anybody's interest. Like I'm getting 1,000 short format video views, 2,000 short format video views on what makes up carburetor cleaners. Not enough to keep making stuff like that. I think it sure is. It's one of those things. Knew it was bad. That's actually part of the reason why I made the video on the sugar in the gas tank thing, because on movies and television, you see a lot of the time where people take the sugar and dump it into the tank, and they're like, ha ha ha, I've sabotaged their car. It does a little bit more than sabotage somebody's car. It's pretty much going to cause their engine to have to be rebuilt, especially once they've gotten driving and enough carbon is built up inside. It is bad. It's pretty bad. There's a lot of other things that you could do too. That's why I did that video on the banana in the tailpipe. That's not really a thing. That's pretty much only a movie thing. If you put a banana in a tailpipe, unless the banana is massive, most of the time it's just going to blow out. You have to take, like I showed in the video, like a potato and hammer it up there, and then they'll temporarily shut down the car, and it's not going to actually break anything. You could end up causing some back pressure problems inside of the engine from it compressing the air fuel mixture. But that one's not generally dangerous. I need a drink. I've been sitting here talking for 32 minutes, almost nonstop. So sorry, I had to drink something. All right. So any of you guys have any questions? I'm more than happy to take them. I'll kill Bill. He said the brand name sugar. Very funny, Zach. Yeah. The sugar, certain brands are like jet fuel. If you run it through your engine, it'll clean everything out. No, that's super dangerous. Obviously, if you're reading the comments, Zach is just kidding. Bill, who is not here, he is a friend of mine. No, sugar in your gas tank won't completely seize your engine. A seized engine condition ends up happening in a situation like where you have no oil at all. I didn't see the battery question. I'll come back to it though. Seized engine ends up happening like when you have no oil inside the engine at all, and ends up causing it to heat and then lock the motor up. Putting sugar into your gas tank won't cause the engine to seize up. Everything will still move, but the carbon buildup that ends up happening from burning the sugar coats the injectors and causes them to get clogged. At the same time, through your exhaust port system, it will end up clogging things in there. It can mess up your O2 sensors pretty easily. It could end up clogging your catalytic converter. There's a lot of parts along the way in the engine as the air fuel mixture that's burned is expelling that it could mess with. In the process of that, it could cause seals inside of your engine or even the rings to have problems with them. You can end up getting carbon buildup inside of the rings where the oil doesn't flow properly through the engine. That could cause that kind of condition where the engine would end up seizing it, but it's not super likely because of the fact that the oil is viscous enough. It usually ends up making it through most situations where it'll still work. Okay. Did you answer the battery question? I don't know what battery question. If you leave a car battery on the concrete floor, will it drain the charge? That's a great question. I think that's more of a myth. My brother has always said that if you put a car battery on the ground, it'll discharge it because it's on the ground. You have a plastic insulator between the battery, which is the case of the battery, keeping it from discharging the electricity into the ground. It's possible, but it's not realistic because of the fact that if you take battery, this is the battery, and then you put the case around the battery and then set that on the floor, that concrete is here. There's a plastic insulator in between the two, and the battery's in the inside. So when it comes down to it, it's not really a thing. But I mean, over the years of being a car guy, I used to try it. The years of being a car guy, like it usually seems like that is the case, though, that if you set it on the ground, that it ends up draining the electricity out. So that's what I'm saying. It's more of a myth, but I mean, there may be some truth to it. I'm also not a scientist, so maybe if there's somebody more scientific, you'd be able to answer that better than me. But generally, insulated electricity is not supposed to be able to leach out unless there's some sort of electrical gapping between. I don't know. I generally, as a rule, don't take good batteries and put them on the floor. We had the battery for the Spark, but it wasn't in the Spark. It was sitting over here, and I had it up on a shelf just because of the same thing. I didn't trust it. I've got a few batteries sitting over here right now, and they're up off the ground, and they're completely dead. So they could sit on the ground. Your videos on that poor Chevy Spark. Any other plans you're doing? Yes. There is a plan right now to put you can almost see these BF Goodrich tires that are on this. I have another set that are sitting outside on some rims that we couldn't use. They were so actually this is a great story. So I'm going to go into detail on this one. Bill and I own the two 70 vehicles, the 70 GMC and the 70 F250. He also is part owner of the Spark and Jeep. We have 16 rims on the 1970 F250. Because of that, they stopped making wheels for 16.5s in the early 2000s. So you can get 16.5s, but they're generally like trailer wheels, not really like big off-roady truck tires. So we don't really want to replace them with 16.5s again because of the fact that you're going to spend about $300 a tire and you're going to get a really low quality tire if you stay with the 16.5s. I actually got a set of rims from Zach that we really liked and we really wanted to use with their 16.5s, and we're probably going to end up changing them out. So Bill, since he's part owner, he found a guy that had some used 17-inch wheels that were 8 on 6.5. He got them from the guy, brought the wheels up to where I live, and we went to put them on, and they were not 8 on 6.5. They were 8 on either 6 3/4, or they were a metric tire or rim. And because of that, we still want to use the tires, but we can't really use the rims on anything because I think it's a Dodge lug pattern, and we don't have a Dodge. So what we're going to do, I have some metal actually sitting here. We're going to take this big heavy plate metal and we're going to make some fancy wheel extensions. And we're going to take those wheels and stand them about this far outside of the wheel wells and then make it a 4x4. The car won't actually be a 4x4, obviously, because it's only 2-wheel drive. And the engine is so small, it may not even push the tires around. But we want to do it to see if it can be done and how we can make it work. So we're gonna build these standoffs. So we're gonna stick the wheels far enough out that the wheels can still turn. Then we're gonna drive it around my property and see if it even works. Some of the crazy stuff that we've done to the is fun. Some of it just doesn't even work. I originally did the Lambo door video under the intention of doing gull wing doors. I always wanted to do gull wing doors on a car, and the gull wing doors on that Spark just do not work. They look cool when they're open, but when it comes down to it, there's no way to get it to go up high enough to be able to get into the car. And then the other problem is when it's up and it's on the shocks that hold it into place, if you push it down, because I ended up having to use a second one, this one's on the glass. So when the mount for the spring flexes, it flexes towards the glass. And if the bolts break loose, it'll shove right through the glass. It'd be like me putting a wrench through it. But in this case, it's not as fun. So that one doesn't work. But the Lambo doors, they're great. We have a channel sponsor named Beaver. I was shopping around for gull wing door kits. Nobody had a gull wing door kit. I was running into all these Lambo door kits. They put one on Beaver, and so I messaged the rep for Beaver and said, "Hey, you guys sponsor us? Do we get any store discount on this?" And they said, "Hey, we'll send it to you. Make a video about it, and we'll take it." Sure. So they sent that kit out to us. I installed it on there. It works great. It is how those front doors function. Right now, the back doors don't even really function at all. The hinges are mounted to the outside. The doors will open. If you pop the door and lift it and hold it up over your head and climb in, you can get in that way, but it's super dangerous and sketchy. But the front doors work. They work the way they're supposed to. The only thing that doesn't work on it is there's no door locks because everything has to be manually done with the key. You can't hit any electronics. You can't roll any windows down. I guess you don't really need to if we keep blowing out the windows, isn't it? The awesome, can't wait to see. Awesome. What that means. Zach, you're saying things I don't understand. You can't travel through time, Devin. No, I can't. I don't generally mention my name either, but my actual name is Devin. Lots of people on here call me dude. I look kind of like the dude. It's been my nickname for a long time, so I'm more than happy to be called dude. I don't know. We have lots of intentions for lots of videos. Those F-250 that I mentioned that and I both own. Those gotta come into the garage soon. The F-250 needs the engine rebuild. I actually have one of the cylinder heads sitting around here on the floor. Those got to get sent out once we decide if we're going to keep that engine or if we're going to rebuild that engine. But either way, the engine that has to come out of it. It's not even all the way there. And then the goal for all of the stuff with the flipping cars with Bill and I was to build up each of the cars. We went to get cash to build the nicer cars with. And then when our union ended up not doing the strike that they were talking about doing, we kind of dropped the ball. Bill got a lot less interested. I still have cars on my property, so I want to work through them and get them out. But those cars have to come in. That F-250 has got to get its motor rebuilt so that we can get it back on the market, sell it. And then the money for all those. How did I not know BTTF was Back to the Future? It's literally my favorite movie. Okay, it makes more sense now. The F-250 will come in. We will end up stripping the engine out of it. We will end up rebuilding it. It should be within the next year. I'd like to see those cars get out, but I've got to get the Commander out and sold first. Any particular reason other than the fact that I'm just completely in the hole in that car. It cost us not very much, but the rebuild on it and all the stuff again, it's put us upside down. I use a pseudonym. His real name is oops. My real name is absolutely not Francis. You threw me for a loop here, Zach. What was I talking about? Anybody have any idea? Let me get a drink. Anybody have any clue what I'm talking about? Zach, I see you're still here. What's your favorite car movie? I love the car in Gone in 60 Seconds. I absolutely hate that movie. Favorite car movie? I mean, if we're going to say my favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. So definitely probably that DeLorean. I mean, it's an ugly, ugly car, but it's probably my favorite movie, especially the only car. You're saying what you like my station wagon. So in a lot of our videos, you've seen some of the cars on the property, and there are some cars that just don't make any sense in a boat that's out there. The boat's my friend Bryce's. He also owns that storage Connex. He's got a bunch of his stuff in there. Then there's two cars that aren't mine. There's a station wagon. That is Zach's car. And then there's a 80s Ford, I think it's an F-250. That is Zach's car also. What do you mean don't use my real? It literally on comments says R. Zach Kennedy. Who am I not supposed to be calling? Everybody sees. What would you like me to call you, Zach? Put a name up there. So going back to talking about these cars, I want to get the 2006 Jeep Commander out of here. Oh, no, calling you that. Good try, though. So apparently Zach wants me to call him Daddy. That's not going to happen. I want to get the Commander out of here because the Commander is weighing down on a lot of funds. Even though I'm upside down in it and I'm probably going to sell it at a loss, Bill and I both will end up getting enough money back that we could take that money and be able to easily afford to replace the engine if needed, if we need to completely redo the engine in that car. See, when it comes down to it, Me and my wife, we make an okay amount of money, and we have an okay, like size property and a nice house and da 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 da. But I'm treating this venture, this hobby that I have here, YouTube, like it's its own business. So when it comes down to it right now, I keep investing capital into these vehicles, but when it comes down to it, none of these vehicles are paying me back. So the only way it could is through YouTube and being monetized and all that. So once I set the YouTube channel up as a business and got a bank account and all that stuff for it, even though I invest my money, the goal is to get money back out of it. So when Bill and I bought into these cars, it was also a business venture. So the idea is to get the cars that we paid almost nothing for, build them into something, sell them, take the money that we've got from selling them and build the nicer car that needs more money, and then sell it for more money. And then eventually, we get to the GMC Suburban 3-door, the 1970, that is worth a ton of money and put it together and do it nicely. That car would potentially, in today's market, pull in about $65,000 to $70,000, and that would be a nice paycheck at the end of all of this for Bill and I. But when it comes down to it, we've got to get some of these cars out of here. So the Commander is basically done, as long as it just needs the ECM. We think it's the ECM. We're fairly certain it's the ECM stuff of what it did and how it did it when we were driving it. But there could just be electrical problems. I'm not exactly sure. We'll rebuild that. We'll see what's going on. We'll try and get it up and running and sell it. And then once that's sorted out, then we have more cash to just mess with some of the other things. So the next project in line is supposed to be the F-250. The Spark was one of those cars. That car is complicated, but the amount of money that I paid for the car was almost nothing because I have someone who owes me some cash and we traded and worked out deals and stuff. So that car has very little investment into it. But it was looking like, instead of a transmission control module, which is a couple $100, it was going to end up needing a transmission, which I could find a used one for about $1,000. But then, we're maybe making $1,000 or $2,000 once everything's said and done with the sale of the car. So because of that, Bill and I got to talking, because he also owns part of that car. And I said, look, I'm personally the only one who's actually monetarily invested into that car. I said, why don't we do something different with it? Maybe we chase YouTube views and hopefully it brings in some views and viewers and subscribers. And if that's the case, then great. And if it doesn't, then when it goes down to it, it's my loss. And I'm used to taking losses, especially when it comes to the channel and my car projects and whatnot. We've got like 10 different cars total out here on the property. Some of them are Zach, some of them are Bill's, some of them are Bill mine, some of them are other people's. Just depends. We've got going on. This car, the 53, is actually a gift to my wife. But the funny thing with the gift is she pays for the parts on it. So I try not to hit her with too many bills too much. So what this car is when my wife and I had our first anniversary, I bought her the truck that she always dreamed of having, which was a 1950s Chevy pickup truck. I had a friend who had this sitting out in the desert, and I knew he had a couple of these trucks out there. So I asked him if he was interested in selling one, and he sold me this one for a fairly good price for what this car is. This is just a complete rolling frame chassis setup. I took it apart and did all the work that you've seen in the videos. That is the beginnings of what's going to happen with this car. It's going to get a 350 Chevy put into it. We're not doing an LS engine. We don't want to add all the electronics. I wanted to have kind of that classic nostalgia to it. So it's going to have an air cleaner on it and be like a regular style car. And then it'll put a 350 automatic transmission on it to make it easier for my wife to drive. And because of the space that it's taking up, the brake setup used to be down in the bottom of it. Because of that, it'll move up onto the firewall, which is not a normal setup for a 50s Chevy pickup truck, but it will definitely make it stand out a little bit. And then the bed will all get redone and it'll get painted. I have a buddy who's a painter. He'll take care of all the paint, and most of the bills actually already paid for besides the engine and transmission, that kind of stuff. A lot of the expensive undercarriage parts are already in and done. Let me see what we have in comments. My favorite car movie was Mustang from Sting. Oh yeah, that's an awesome car too. Bullet. Yeah. I know which car you're talking about. Yes, that's a very cool Mustang. Bunch of Ford guys found in Devon's Road. Hi, is this where all the cool boys that can fix cars hang out? I would love to say this is where the cool boys are, but I knowing it's me and your man and well, the guy we call super fan. There's not a whole lot of people here hanging out. It's just me talking to myself and reading comments. Hi, Carla. If you need Zach, that's fine. I'm probably going to get off here in the next 10 minutes or so. My wife's supposed to be back from a work event that was going on soon as well. So this is the first time we've done this, and it's worked out fairly well. I managed to be able to continue to talk for almost an hour straight, which is a lot for me. I don't. Anybody that knows me knows I don't talk like this. I don't talk very often. So hopefully the next time we do video, get a few more people on, get some comments. Heard it was an hour. Yeah, we're getting close to an hour. It was a first stream, man. Don't stress out. I'm not really stressed out about the amount of viewers, and I'm really not expecting there to be a whole lot of viewers in this one or the next one. The one I would actually be stressed one in December, because the premise of that one is going to be pretty goofy. The car is going to be, in the background of us, and then we're just going to be doing things to destroy the car for the fun of it. The idea is kind of like each person that comes in and like tips while we're streaming will do something to the car because of the fact they're tipping it. Either like throw a paintball at it with something, or break out a window, or they throw enough money, like we'll hit it with a sledgehammer. It's just that one's the one that I'm concerned about viewership. If there isn't viewership for that one, that could be a problem. Lots of comments because you're on it. Yeah, Zach and I were on the phone. He told me a 5-minute / 14-minute conversation that ended up being 55 minutes today. I was on the phone with Zach for an hour. Carla in the comments, that is his wife, fiance, girlfriend. I don't know what you guys classify each other as. But yeah, he likes to talk on the phone. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the one in December where we destroy the car. I think that will actually be a really cool live stream. I think the premise of it's something different that people haven't really been doing. That's part of the reason why I want to do it. Like my mentality for it is we're going to take the car and we're going to get all the money back that we put into it by having people pay for us to do damage to the car, and then eventually the car ends up destroyed, and hopefully, like, what I'd love to see is somebody just throws a massive amount of money and I just like take the XJ and drive over the top of the Chevy Spark. That'd be something cool, but it's not realistic, especially the way stuff goes. It's probably be like, 5 of us here, Bill and I sitting talking to each other. I think my other buddy, Eric, the guy who originally owns the car, I think he wants to be there for it. So he'll be there too. We'll all just be sitting there talking. It's gonna be a really weird one because I'll be trying to have a conversation with everybody that's watching, and they'll be in the background, probably drinking beers and smashing the car. All right. Apparently Zach and his lady are having a conversation in the chat. This is a guy channel. Go away. That's funny. See how he treats me. I'm not going anywhere. This is dude's place. Oh, you guys are funny. Thanks for embarrassing me in front of my friends. Please, you don't have any friends. Zach, I mean, I guess I could say he's my friend. Carla, I know Zach's probably doesn't say this, but me and my wife have invited you to come up plenty of times too, because we try to get him to come up here and work on his car. So you're more than welcome to come up anytime you want to. I love that the chat has been taken over by Zach and Carla having marital dispute. It's funny. This has been fun. We've been doing this for almost an hour now. I plan on going, another 3 or so minutes, and then we've completed an hour of live streaming. I don't really know what else to talk about. As you see, I'm sitting here drinking tea. I drink iced tea. I'm not really much of a drinker, so that's what I'm having. Apparently, I'm not allowed to be called D. Yeah, I could see Zach saying that you were not allowed. You're more than welcome to come up. My wife is very friendly and more than happy to have you up. He brings your son up, and he plays. Your guys' son plays with my son. They're similar age, so they have fun while we're working on cars. Probably good not to day drink your line of work. Yeah, I don't actually my 9 to 5. It's sad to say that a lot of people do have drinking problems at my 9 to 5, but I'm not one of them. I pretty much only drink iced tea or coffee. Sodas, I drink sodas, but I'm more of a coffee and tea drinker. At this point, I'm going to call it for the live stream. Thank you guys for coming. BB, who left earlier, Nathan, or super fan. My wife decided you were super fan once upon a time because you were the only person who commented on any of the videos when the channel was nothing. So she's decided you're super fan. You should change your screen name there to super fan. And then Zach, I appreciate you coming and at least letting me know that the sound and all this stuff was working, because I had no idea. And sticking around for the whole hour is awesome. That's great. It saved me a lot, because I was worried that none of this stuff was working. And at least I had one person on the whole time. So thank you all very much for coming to our first ever live stream. It's been great. Hopefully, if you weren't able to come to the live stream, you're watching this afterwards. Thanks for watching it in the after. It's still good content. You still get to learn some stuff and know some stuff. Thank you for watching. We'll keep making more videos, making more shorts, making more everything, because it's our hobby. It's kind of a business. It's do now on top of all the other things that we do. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again next time. Look at that. I don't even know how to leave. There it is. All right. Bye.